I don't care about failure at all. I don't care. And I never did. I think when I was younger, I didn't understand what failure was. Like when you're 6, when you're 7, when you're 12, there's not many people to let down. You know what I mean? You let down Timmy at school. He's your friend. Sorry, Timmy. But you're not thinking about that. And I just remember from the beginning, like my mom was like, I wanted to drop out of school. And, my mom was raising me alone, and I was probably 15, 16 at the time. And I was like, Mom, I know what I want to do. She's like, what do you want to do? And I'm like, the music stuff. Like, I'm so into it. And I know, and I looked at her and I go, I know I'm going to be the biggest in the world. And she was just like, what do you, and I've asked my mom, like later in life, like, how did you like trust me in my journey? And she always said that she had dreams that she never got to try in her life. And a lot of people are just way too scared to take the jump. A lot of people may have, I'm sure everyone in this room, anyone listening has a little something where they're like, oh, I really like that. But they're scared. They're like, I want to post videos of me cooking online. Nah, no one will like it. My friends will make fun of me. I sing in the shower. Like no. Because we're taught to just follow suit and do whatever you're supposed to do. You report to your boss, but it doesn't have to be like that. Like if you want to try to be like a musician, an entrepreneur, whatever, it's scary. And like, I'm sure you've had moments like that where you're like, yo, what am I doing? But if you do try, I believe that if you keep pushing yourself and you keep trying, you're going to succeed. And I always tell people this, it may not be in what you start with, Like when I started, I thought I was going to be the biggest rap artist in the world. And am I a rapper now? No. And then I moved into producing, and then I moved into songwriting, and then it's come full circle now where I'm like an artist of some sorts again. And I think you just jump in and just try something. Just try, and who cares? If you're gonna fail, who cares if you fail? I don't understand. That's the thing I don't understand. It's just, you just get up and you do it again. I have amnesia. The second I fail, I'm like, the next day I wake up, I'm like, all right, let's do it again. Remember when I was gonna quit music one time right before I made it, my mentor passed away. He took his own life, and I was really young. It was one of my best friends, and I'm probably like 18. And I remember like sitting in my bed, and I was crying. I like didn't understand. It was one of the first times that somebody who wasn't supposed to die died. I've had I lost my grandmother and lost my grandfather, but it was like the first time in my life where like someone that like I really knew and really touched me, and I talked to them the day before they died. And it's like, I remember like that hitting me like so hard in a way that I didn't know was even possible. Like, I'd been sad, but I remember sitting there in bed, and I was just like, I'm just gonna quit. I was like, I gotta quit making music. And then in that very same moment, like my head flipped, and I was just like, no, you can't. You gotta like take on what this dude started. Cause he was also a musician, and he didn't get totally, he was well known, and he was a hero to me, but he didn't get where I think he deserved to. And I remember being like, I gotta do this. Like, I gotta, like, he would want me to be doing this. And that was like the only time where it wasn't even failure. It was like the only time where I like really questioned things. But don't get me wrong. Every time I do something good in life, I'm questioning. But it's like a different feeling. I don't know if you have this, but I'll have a number one song. It's the biggest song in the whole world. And I'll like look in the mirror and I'll be like, oh, that's the last one. Like, definitely not gonna have another number one song again. Not saying I'm like scared of the failure. I'm just like, oh, that's just like the last one. That's what I did. Or something really good will happen in my life, and I'm like, oh, I'll never recreate that again. But in the same breath, I'm like, let's go. Like, I'm like, let's keep rolling, And I've tried to do this thing lately, in the last like 5 or 10 years, where I really like take in my achievements. Because for a while, I never thought of them. I would just keep going. Like when it was time, they'd be like, oh, your song's number one. I'd be like, okay, that's cool. What are we doing next week? And I figured out like it's okay to do that. It's okay to like take a breath and be like, yo, we just did this shit. Like this is tight. Like we did this. This is great. And yeah, I'm trying to do that more. And failure, like, no, I've never had one of those times, because whenever I do fail, I'll sit and I'll sit there and I'll be like, this didn't work out how I wanted it to. But so many times have been the opposite, where I was like, this will never work. And then it's big. So it's like, I feel like it always evens out. Yeah. And you only have one other choice. It's like, your only choice is just to keep going. What are you supposed to do? Just be like, oh, it didn't work. No, get up and you do it again. I know, it did change a little bit. Like
you wouldn't do that. That's what I mean. You wouldn't throw someone's hard drive.
No, I would never do those type of things. I'm just like not that type of person. I'm not like a yelling person. Yeah, I'm not like it's just like that's not my way of communication. Like if I was like sad about something, I'd be like, man, I think it's like probably almost worse. Like I'd be like, why you do that? You know what I mean?
I go quiet.
Yeah. Or I'd be like, if you're ever like in an argument in a relationship, like I'm not a yeller. I'm like a, oh man, like I wish it was different. Like, and I like can't even find the words usually at the beginning. And I think that's how I am. And I think like I really learned that you don't have to do that stuff. It worked for me. It got me to where I am, but it's like, you can be really positive. You can be a good influence on someone. You don't have to like, you can be hard on someone. Like I'm definitely like, I was definitely hard on the guy I was talking about, Blake. I was tough on him, but I was never like, I would never be mean. I would never like, there's no reason to do that. And what made me keep going back, I don't know, sheer just will and drive. Like that's like, I just was like, that's what they're trying to do. They want me to quit. They want me to, and like, I don't know. I don't know why I do it. And I wonder, sometimes I sit in bed and I'm like, why am I still working like so hard? Like I still work like I've never done a thing in my life. Like I'm still wake up every morning. I'm like, all right, I'm gonna do this, then I'm gonna do this, and then I swear I'm gonna get this thing. And that's why I try to do different things that I'm not necessarily great at, not that I'm not great at, but that I don't have, in music, I can go in, I can work with anyone, I can do this. But like making a cookbook, being in a TV show, I've never done these things. So it's like very interesting to me to start at the bottom again and just like try to work my way up. Yeah. It's fun. I love the climb. Like that's my favorite part about life. Yeah. Even everything, like in a relationship, when you meet that person at the very beginning and it's like, oh, I gotta like make my way into their heart and they have to make their way into mine. And it's just all about, I don't know, getting there is always the best. And then when you're there, I'm just like, all right. What else can I want to get some, you know what I mean? Like, so when you're like, you do the music stuff and you get there and you're like, I think the only thing where you get there and it just keeps getting better is in a relationship with someone. I think that's like the only time you get there and you're like, okay, this is cool. Like, but when every other time I'm just like, okay, cool. Like, let's go.
What do you think makes relationships different that makes you feel that way as opposed to music? Or anything else, any other achievement?
Well, I've never been in a relationship the way that I've been in one with music because it's been like a 30-year relationship. So I have no idea what happens 30 years from now in a relationship. But I just feel like in a relationship is like all these other things I'm doing. There's so many like tentacles. Like it's like you go this way and then you guys explore that together and you're exploring so many. It's basically anything I would explore in my life, I'm exploring with a partner. And so it's like figuring out, like you guys are like figuring out things together. And it's so cool when you have like a partner that like, I don't know, like I just get the feeling like it's awesome when you can have a partner that you look at and it's like the end of the day and you're like, oh, what did you do today? And they tell you and you're like, that's so tight. Like, and you're like, I want to do more. Like when you can feed off of each other and just keep growing together, it's like every day is a new experience and you guys are like facing different things together and it's, I don't know, it's cool.